Hello and welcome to my video about whole life insurance. Before we get started here today, I wanted to make note of the fact that if you're someone who wants to work with me, there will be a link in the description of this video with a form that you can submit, and I'll be sure to get in touch with you. Or you could leave a comment on the video, and the link to that same form is also in the channel description when you click on the channel. Or you can click on the description. But let's not delay things any further. Welcome to my video about whole life insurance. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, let's go over who exactly am I. My name is Albert. I'm a life insurance broker who works with all the A+ rated insurance carriers across the nation. My goal is to educate and protect families. I'm licensed in almost every single U.S. state, and if I can't do business in a certain state that I'm not licensed in, then someone at my brokerage is. So we have a really wide net of people that we can work with. So that's really great. Like I mentioned, I'm a broker. I've been doing this for quite some time now, and with this channel, hopefully I can reach more families than I can talk to in person at one given time. It'd be really hard to talk to several hundreds or thousands of people at the same time. So that is the goal of this channel, to reach as many people as possible. So let's get into some key points about whole life coverage and some things that are important to keep in mind. Whole life coverage never expires. It builds cash value over time, and the premiums are level, so what you pay stays the same. Oftentimes with different insurances like State Farm or different auto insurances, things of that nature. Specifically, the auto industry, the premiums change over time, and that's not something that um, you know that's not something that you'd want. You want to be locking in a stable premium. So that's what whole life coverage does. And some other points here are, why would somebody choose whole life coverage? Whole life coverage has a guaranteed death benefit that never goes away. The death benefit is tax free, and you can borrow against it while you're still alive. And all the policies that I write up and present to people, they all have living benefits. So this is something that you get when you go with an A+ rated carrier. If you are ever to be in a position where you can't perform 2 out of the 5 daily living functions, such as bathing yourself, feeding yourself, clothing yourself, things of that nature, the policy would begin to pay out while you're still alive. And a big one also is the peace of mind. When people have something in place, I've heard it helps them sleep better at night, knowing that their people are taken care of, God forbid anything were to happen. And also, it's a permanent solution to a guaranteed problem. We can't choose when we go or how we go. There's certain things that we can do, like having good, habits and taking care of ourselves, but there are just certain things that are out of our control. We can't control if there's a drunk driver or if a piece of machinery falls off the back of a truck or anything like that, if there's a medical complication. So it's a permanent solution to a guaranteed problem. Some benefits of whole life, the policies that I write up can have additional riders added to them. So what this means is that for a really small increase in the monthly premium, you can add certain things to the policy to make it better, to kind of juice it up a little bit. And these riders include acceleration and cash value. There's accidental death benefit riders. So for example, let's say someone named John. John has a $250,000 life insurance policy, whole life, and you can add a rider so that if John were to get into an accident, have an accidental death, something that is deemed to not be natural, then the policy would actually double upon that happening, and that's usually like $8 more a month, or it's a very insignificant increase in the monthly premium. And if you were to pass away in an accident, the policy would double. And as I mentioned earlier, there's also chronic illness riders that pay out while the person is still alive. Now, the cash value is safe from creditors, lawsuits. So if there's someone after you or your money or trying to sue you or something, the cash value inside of a whole life policy is protected. And if at some point you decide that you no longer need the policy, maybe you have money set aside for the family, you have funeral and final expenses taken care of, you could just simply keep the cash value. It's yours. You have full autonomy over the policy. You control it completely. So, I mean, you could just cash out the cash value. That's another thing you could do. And the percent at which the policy grows, because whole life policies do grow at about around 4% a year, maybe marginally more. These are safe from tanks and drops and things like that. Volatility in the stock market, it's not affected by it. So it's completely safe from that. The stock market or the S&P 500 could go up, down, sideways. It would not affect the 4% annual growth of the cash value that is inside of a whole life policy. So that's another plus right there. I wanted to include a real life example here, or about as close to real life as you can get, to kind of illustrate at which point a whole life policy could be beneficial. So here in our example, we have somebody named Maria. She's 35 years old. She works as a registered nurse, and she has two children, aged 7 and 12. If something were to happen to Maria, what would happen to her kids? How would they be taken care of? What if other family members are not financially equipped to take care of two additional kids? Maybe you have a brother, sister, uncle, and maybe they could take them in, but what if they're not ready for that? What if they can't provide the highest quality life for that person, right? God forbid anything were to happen. So that's something to keep in mind. So having a whole life policy in place would greatly benefit Maria and her family, knowing that they have some permanent coverage in place that's always going to be there. And I also wanted to go over some common myths. So these don't necessarily apply to whole life specifically. They apply to life insurance. They can apply to whole life, but they apply to life insurance as a whole for the most part. The first one being that I have life insurance through my work. I hear this one a lot. And while life insurance policies through work, they can provide pretty good coverage at a pretty affordable rate. You don't notice it. They just draft it out of your check or your direct deposit every month, and you don't even notice it's there. However, a company insurance policy is very similar to a company vehicle. The day that you quit, leave, retire, decide to do something else with your life, it goes away for the most part, 99% of the time. Very few carry over into retirement. If you were to get fired or leave a job, or you decided you no longer wanted to work there, you wouldn't keep a company vehicle. So the same applies to a life insurance policy through work. So now the next two, they tie into each other, and those are the I'm too young, I don't need life insurance, or I'll just wait to do it. And to that I say, now is the greatest time to get life insurance. You're the youngest you'll ever be. You're the healthiest you'll ever be. You can't wind back the clock. And this is the time where rates are most affordable. Like I say, the first best time to buy life insurance was last year, and the next best time is now. So we'll never be any stronger, healthier, younger than we are in the present moment. So I just advise people to not put it off, because there's no telling what could happen. Months, weeks, years down the road. It's just not worth it to put yourself in that position. And another one I hear is, I don't know if I'll qualify because of my health. I'm putting it off because I don't know. Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're the youngest and strongest that will, ever be in the present moment. So it's not really a good idea to put things off. I've personally insured individuals with active cancers. So anything is possible. I wouldn't use that as something to hold yourself back from applying and just seeing what's possible. Like I said, there's been people with active cancers that have been insured. So, right, the premium might be higher, right? We might have to do some extra shopping around for you, but it's absolutely not a factor that I think that people should get discouraged by. And I also wanted to go over how to work with me, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. The link for the form to fill out is in my bio, in the description of this video, or you could leave a comment. And so if you feel like I provided some value in terms of explaining life insurance and you found it useful and you want to work with me or take a look at some options for yourself and your family, you can feel free to do those things I just mentioned. So the comment, the form, all that good stuff, just so that there's some way that I could, be aware of your existence and your want to work with me. So that would be really great and appreciative. And then we can hop on a call, free consultation, and see what we could get put in place for you. If you feel like this video was informative, you could also feel free to share it with some family or friends and send it their way if they could maybe get some use out of it. But other than that, This is going to be just the beginning of a video series. I'm going to be going over things, all things life insurance related. So we're going to be going over term policies, annuities, I mean, everything you could possibly imagine. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. There's a lot of things that go into life insurance. So if there's something that you'd maybe want me to clarify more, leave a comment. But better yet, like I mentioned, just fill out that form and we can hop on a call and we can go over everything. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Take care.